Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, world. Welcome to the State of the Nation, curated by Njenje Media TV, London and Nigeria, a platform dedicated to unearthing the truth, amplifying the voices of the oppressed, and holding power to account. In this particular edition, titled Known Faces, Hidden Agendas, Exposing the Bokkos crisis by the victims, those who lived the crisis and who lived the massacre. We move beyond the sanitized headline to confront the raw, lived realities of the people of Boko in Plateau State. For long, many of us are aware, the violence that has ravaged Bokkos has been dismissed as clashes or unrest. But behind the vague language lies a devastating human tragedy. Villages razed, lives lost, families displaced, and futures erased. The silence has lingered for long. It's time to break this silence. I believe many of you watching now would agree with me. This season brings together voices of resilience, those who have witnessed the horror firsthand, who have buried their dead, and are now rising to tell the story. Through their accounts, we will explore the complex web of political complicity, ethno-religious manipulation, systematic impunity, and a government that has turned a blind eye time and time again and failed to protect its own citizens. In a recent program I had, I questioned, what is the Nigerian life worth? How much? What is the Nigerian life worth that people wake up and feel that they are not protected by those whom they've yielded their powers and say, protect us in this social contract? This evening, our panelists span from legal experts, activists, cultural leaders, and community representatives. They will offer us a deep yet personal, political charged narrative of what it means to survive in a system that seems designed to forget you. My name, as always, is Mazi Tochukwezoka. I am the CEO Njenje Media TV. My panelists this evening, I have in the studio those that are here and those that will still join me later. Here I have with me distinguished men. The first person eventually will join us, joined but left, is barrister Farmasum Fuddang, who is the chairman, Bokkos Cultural Development Council Vanguard. I also have Maton John Apollos, who is a lawyer, dispute resolution expert, and an activist. I have also joining us from Nasarawa, Fasai Sanusi Ibrahim, a social justice crusader. And eventually, we will be joined by Machif Yuba Malo, who is a developmental expert, Bokkos Cultural Developmental Council Vanguard. Gentlemen, you're welcome to this conversation this evening. Let me
Thank you very much for having us.
thank you. So let me quickly play fire the first salvo. John, if you don't mind, I would start with you. Right now, you know, let me rephrase my question this way. I think okay. Farmasin have joined us now. Farmasin, you're welcome. let me take the like I said, let me fire the first salvo here, and that's going to go to you, John. Can you walk us through what happened during the April 2nd attack in Bokkos? From your perspective, what actually happened?
As we have come to accept to be usual, villages were attacked for no reason. Lives were lost, and in a situation that has come to be known to our people as an attempt to grab our land. So that is simply it, right? There are so many different scenarios that played out, so many lives lost. In fact, the follow-up attack is rumored to have been because the government had taken some people into custody, some suspects into custody. There's a purported press release, that was also the coalition of Fulani groups, so to say, had made demands, which brought to the conclusion that yes, they have identified that they are responsible for these attacks, and from our end, we can only say that we recognize it as attempts to land grab.
Okay, thank you very much. So, Farmasum, let me pose the same question to you. From what happened on the 2nd of April 2025, what is your perspective as to, the event of that sad day, considering that you are a leader within this community?
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Sorry for joining up this a bit late. I was actually in Bokkos town that day when we started hearing that there was an attack. Usually attacks in those around our places, even the one that happened in December 2024, 2023 was done in the night. So this one was a bit out of the usual, because it was in the morning. It started around 10.
Around 10 a.m.
Yes, around meeting time. We had that there was a problem in Mongol. So we thought, and of course we saw security personnel as the army going down there. So we thought that was it. Not until around 2, 3, 4, we also started hearing that the attack did not just stop at Mongol. It went down to Joko in Joshua, and then it went to Hurti. And then Hurti has about, I think, 14 sub-villages or so. So apart from the main Hurti village that was attacked, they divided themselves into different clusters, and they entered into the various small villages and attack and burned houses. If you are talking about perspective, I don't have any other thing but to say that this is a murderous set of people that have just one agenda, is to destroy a particular set of people, that's my people, and to kill. Like I said, they did it in daylight, broad daylight, not in the night. Their faces was not even covered. They did it with an audacity. It took their time to do that. So that's
okay. Who do you think, or rather, who do you believe is indeed behind these reoccurring attacks? And why do you think that it appears that government is reluctant to name them.
I'm having a solidity problem with my system. Let me see what I can do. I'll come back, sir. I'm sorry.
Okay. Before I come to Fasai here, let me, Barrister John, let me take that question. Who do you think are behind these attacks, and why does it appear that the government is reluctant to engage?
We do not think, we know that the Fulani are responsible for these attacks, right? And the government, especially the conversations we've been having with politicians right now, seem to tilt towards political correctness, right? A lot of them are saying, one tribe shouldn't be blamed for these things. We should not group a whole people by the negative actions of the few. But this can no longer be considered the negative actions of a criminal few. It has repeatedly been done. It is also widely supported. So it leaves us with no other option but to conclude that the Fulani are out to continue the jihad of Danfodio. The Fulani believe that Nigeria is theirs. The Fulani believe that they are not bound by the laws of the constitution or any laws of Nigeria, right? When you hear them talk, when you hear them make demands, when you see their actions. In fact, recently here in my area, some brought their cows around and we're telling them, we do not want you in this area. Take your cows elsewhere. They're like, no, they want to graze. They must graze in that area. So when you see their actions, you hear their words, you will know that even though they are an immigrant population, right, the Fulani seems to think that they have total control over Nigeria and Nigeria belongs to them. And, some might say their impunity is not unfounded because as it is, Nigeria is the only country, right, that was not conquered but has had an immigrant, rise to the position of president. And they've done that not once, not twice, a couple of times. The last one was General Buhari, right? So you can see that there has been impunity. There has been an obvious disregard for law and order. So it's not think, we know that they are responsible. Like
Okay.
when you look at, it's not just a Plateau thing. When you look at Adamawa, when you look at Benue, when you look at Bayelsa, at least 20 states of Nigeria suffer from attacks of the same group of people, right? So I think the government is hesitant to name them, to call them out, because over time they have infiltrated every sphere of governance. They are in all the areas, they are in all the agencies, especially the armed forces, right? So to some extent, they have huge control over the decision-making powers of Nigeria, which makes many governors uncomfortable about coming out to name them because they are afraid of the political consequences or whatever difficulties they might have from the federal, right? So that's it.
Okay. Now, Mathai Mohammed, you left and you came back. I believe you captured some of the things he said. Now, sitting down there, I don't know if that noise is coming from you, but sitting down there, listening to this, how does that make you feel that its nationality is being accused of unprecedented killing, a nation that ought to be shared by all respectfully? Doesn't that in any way, shape, doesn't that to you give these ethnic nationality a bad name amongst the people within, as John said, about 20 states of the Federation.
Okay, well, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Okay. First and foremost, it's very, very sad that a particular ethnic group are taking out these attacks. And just like what my brother over there said, so many people are skeptical, or rather scared, to come out and say, these are the people. I personally, when I came out and made the video, I know the threats that came through my direct messaging and other places, most especially coming from people of this particular clan. But the truth is the truth, and the more we continue to hide it, or the more we continue to hide under the umbrella of lies, then these things are going to continue. I personally have had a first-hand knowledge of these attacks, and I was on the field in Enugu. I saw a lot of things, and we know who are the people that are doing are taking out this attack. So it's not even about saying the people feeling not good, or rather they're being stereotyped to a certain type of attack. The truth is the truth. We cannot continue to hide under it. We have to come out and say it how it is and let the world know. Though we that are out here saying it, that are from the northern extraction, our lives are even under threat. It's more like we are risking it to say it. But that is it. If this particular clan do not want to be stereotyped, or if these particular people do not want to be, painted in that picture, then their leaders, their people should do something about it to fix the menace. So it's on them, the people, the leaders of this. They have leaders. And one thing I want to assure you is their communication system is very, very strong. Is very strong, their communication system. They can send a message to Niger in a day, and before you know it, that's where you see these atrocities coming. So I think that's just it, sir.
Okay, so before I take the next question, let me quickly play this video of yours for the benefit of.
Sorry, sir. Could I just say that I think one of the things this channel and the people out there need to really recognize and give kudos to is the boldness Faisal has shown in coming out to speak. You and the people out there might think this is just a conversation, but just hearing him say this, believe me, you would not know the type of threats he will face because of this statement. So I think that needs to be acknowledged, and my respect goes to Faisal for coming out and saying the truth as it is. You have my respect, and I acknowledge what you're going through. Thank you so much, brother.
Okay, so let's listen to the videos that I watched that made me actually seek him out and invite him for this program.
I'm here on a very, very sad note. Wallahi, yesterday and day before yesterday, when I saw the pictures, the gruesome pictures of the individuals that were unalived in Bokkos, I wept for my country. Not just Bokkos, in Ehamofu and also Adani in Enugu State. It is very, very unfortunate that these things are happening. These headsmen, I don't understand how somebody is going to compare the life of a cow to a life of a human being. Who does that? Let's assume something happens to the headsmen. Why would you take the laws into your hands? This is not the first time you people are doing this thing. I worked in Enugu for 5 years. I worked under the Enugu State Peace and Security Committee. There is no local government in Enugu that I have not been to, trying to curb this menace between farmers and herders. I've been to all these places from Nkerefi in Ogu to Adani, Isuzo, Uzuwani, Udi, Igwetiti, Igweze. You understand? I've been to all these places, Obaluka, because I was with the Enugu State Peace and Security Committee that was constituted by the former governor, Right Honorable Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi.
Okay, before we progress, let me digress a little bit. And I'm going to go to Fasai here. Fasai, in the video that has gone viral on, on TikTok, on Twitter, and this video, I believe, is the video that you made that certain individuals are beginning to threaten your life. Now, can you walk us back a little bit? What brought you into Enugu? You said you're from Nasarawa State. What is the trajectory? Leaving Nasarawa State, getting into Enugu to do what? And now, why do you concern yourself, a young man like you, so much with the killings across Nigeria done by the individuals in question here?
All right. First and foremost, I was posted to Enugu for my service, for my youth service. Before I left home, so many people said, don't even go to the east because there is a certain ideology about the Southeasterners. But I said, since God sent me to Enugu, I would go to Enugu and I would remain there. I was at the Ogu camp. Other northern corpers redeployed back to northern Nigeria, but I decided to stay. So along the line, I started hustling because I'm an individual that loves to touch one and two, and I was a radio presenter in Nasarawa Broadcasting Service Kefi. So trying to look for means, I now got the Angwang Hausawa, which is that's Ogui Road, and then I was introduced to the Sarki Hausawa of Enugu. That is His Royal Highness Sarki Abubakar Yusuf Sambu. So when I and him met once, twice, and he saw how eloquent I was, he decided to, bring me close to him. And, he said, okay, you can be my secretary. So we started moving from, one place to the other. And the emir, the Sarki Hausawa, was part of the Enugu State Peace and Security Committee. And he was the chairman of the subcommittee of cattle control. So anywhere he goes, I am with him. It got to a moment where, he now suggested and said, okay, I think this guy here is like my brother. We should, co-opt him into the team, even if it's by, like ad hoc, like a proxy, because he travels, he goes everywhere with us. He documents, and he's very good. So that was how I now got the opportunity to, start moving from one place to the other, and that gave me the opportunity to go to all the 17 local governments in Enugu. So now, being on the field, I saw what I saw. The same Adani that some people are talking about right now. I was at Adani in 2019 with the Enugu State Peace and Security Committee, and in that Peace and Security Committee, the Admiral of Fulani of Enugu State was part of that committee. The chairman of Mieti Allah was part of the committee. The zonal chairman of Mieti Allah was part of that same committee. So now we went to that Adani, and on our way coming back, after a meeting in Adani, on our way coming back, we were shot at. And, it was troubling. And
you were shot at by who?
Yes, we were shot at by assailants that just popped into the road and they started shooting sporadically. It was 3 cars. Our car was, because I was driving the first Sienna. The first, I was able to maneuver and pass. And then the second car was the car with, the secretary of Uzuwani. And unfortunately, he lost his life. And at the end of the day, when you go and check Vanguard, you check, so allegedly, headsman, it was a headsman attack. They said allegedly it was a headsman. So I would have lost my life in that particular mission. So that changed my trajectory to know what is going to be the main source How are we going to uncover these things that's actually happening? And the reason why I am quite bothered about what is happening in places like Enugu is there are northerners in Enugu. There are Muslims in Enugu. There are Muslims in all the southeastern states. And the truth is, in as much as I am not there anymore, I see people in the southeast like my brothers. I am for humanity, and that's why I always say love is the first religion. And that was what still drove me to make the video I made about the unaliving of Deborah some years ago. So I am for humanity. So if someone is unalived in Enugu, it's a human being, then a Nigerian, then an indigene of Enugu. So I am for humanity, and that is why every single time I usually put myself in a place and say, I have to talk about it. I know what I'm facing. I know the type of threats that comes. As a matter of fact, I'm even limiting physicality since after this video that I got out. I'm limiting my physicality in public places because I know what I heard. But I felt it was on me to come out and say it because this is not lies. I have my facts. I have figures. I have pictures of what we went and saw. So if someone is unalived in Enugu, that person is a human being. If someone is unalived in Bokkos, that person is a human being, irrespective of his religion, tribe, or ethnicity. So that is the reason why, sir.
Okay. Thank you. So, Farmasum, you're back. Farmasum, you're back. If you unmute yourself.
Yes,
okay.
I'm sorry. Network is not.
I don't know. You're
Yes,
logged
sir.
in twice, but it's fine. We can hear
My
you now.
network.
Okay. So let me come to you. I do not want us to dwell so much on the identity of the criminals, but again, the identity matters. But beyond the identity, why do you think that the government appears to be incapable of prosecuting those who engage in the killing of fellow citizens? Before you answer this question, I want you to take the question and marry that with the statement made by your own governor, the governor of Plateau State. Let's just have a listen.
It's landlocked, surrounded by Kaduna, Nasarawa, Bauchi. Now, a lot of these bandits crisscross from some of those states. You find that we also have boundaries with Taraba, with Gombe, and there is a cross-border banditry that takes place. Now, banditry in Nigeria has come to be associated with herdsmen, with cattle rearing. The two go together. They seem to go together. So I have not met one of those people on one, but what people who have come under their attacks have told us, that sometimes these people cannot even speak any Nigerian language. That is the truth.
So there are some kind of aliens. They are non-Nigerians.
Some of them are non-Nigerians, but some of them, I tell you, they migrate from the northwest, coming into places like Bauchi. They migrate into Plateau, and then they seem to have in the whole North Central. I don't think, apart from Kwara, there is any state that is really safe, so to say. They seem to have taken over most of our forests, most of our waterways, and they continue to have a field day. And so what we need to do is to come to a point. I am a very strong advocate that pastoral cattle rearing is no more beneficial to anybody, neither the cattle rearers nor even the economy of the nation. We must move from that point and begin to have alternative ways of rearing cattle that is beneficial to us as a people, as a nation. If we eliminate that possibility, then we will now know those who are inside the bushes, those who are by the waterways, what are they doing there? What is their motive? And we can be able to deal with their...
Governor, move on quickly. So definitely, let's be clear. These people don't speak Angas. These people don't speak Birom. These people don't speak Hausa or Fufude or Kanuri or whatnot. And because some people in your state that I've spoken to prior to this conversation tonight, in my own journalist research for this program, there seem to be some people who are aggrieved, who name tag them. They said the popular language they hear from them is something related to Kanuri and the Fulani tendencies. You know,
Yeah,
and that is very concerning, isn't it?
Mm. Yes, Shegun, I don't want to be accused of ethnic profiling. People who know me know that I'm not an ethnic bigot. We have operated in this state on the basis of fairness, justice, and inclusion. And therefore, we believe that everybody has the right of movement and so on and so forth. But we will not dodge away from taking responsibility that the herdsmen, the majority of herdsmen, definitely speak a definite language, which is known to all Nigerians. Now, is it possible that once in a while you find an Angas man or a Mogavul man or a Biro man involved in criminality? Yes, it is possible because they are human beings. And I can tell you, whenever we find them involved, we deal with them squarely. There have been a few incidences where the cattle belonging to Fulanis have been rustled by some of these locals. And where we find them, we deal with them adequately. We pay compensation, even for the cattle that have been rustled, so that we maintain peace.
Okay. So now, Farmasum, let me come to you. Sitting down,
Yeah.
listening to your governor, what runs through your mind? You are the chairman of the Bokkos Cultural Development Council Vanguard. What do you think about the things your governor has said? Do you believe, like your governor does, that these individuals that come into your villages to kill, maim, destroy in their numbers, that these individuals are not Nigerians and probably they are alien to Nigeria?
Okay. Well, if you know how the constitution of this country works, you know that no governor has the security in his control, especially security forces. And if you hear our governor speaking this way, I think this is the first time we have a governor that came out and called out these attacks by the name they have. And when he was mentioning this issue of foreigners, it's also partly true, because the truth is that like I told some people, I said there's no way a foreigner will come and understand our environment the way these people came and did. Like I started saying, that they started from a particular place and they dropped themselves to the place where they did this attack we're talking about in Hotli. There has to be people that know the terrain, know the place. But of course, you won't also say that because of the sheer number of the people that came, they are not also people that we know. But there are people that our people were able to identify as people that they know. And I always say that if the security or there is going to be any investigation at all, let the investigation start with people that survives the attack, the victims. Let them be asked whether there are people they can identify. And believe you me, sir, the truth is that if people are asked, they will even take you to the places where these people are. So what the governor said is true. Of course, there are foreigners among them, because that is why they have the sheer number they had, and with the weapons they are wearing over. But there are also people that are also from the localities. The Fulani that were hosted in the localities. Some of them also participated in this. And our people that were attacked and survived the attack, they saw them because it was it was broad daylight. It was around 3 o'clock, so they saw them. It's not that they didn't see them, and they are still living. They are still around that community. As of yesterday that we're talking to, I mean, we're talking with our people down there. We are still there.
So, but
So,
you know,
Sorry, sir. Can I
hold on, hold
come
on,
in a
hold on,
bit on the
hold on. Yes, I will allow you in, but there is this narrative that the military also came in. So, if the military came in after the attack, as was said at the beginning, how come you're saying that they are still there? And to while you hold out thought, the question you mentioned that yes, they might not be Nigerians, some of them, but how come they come in, they know where to go, grab land, stay? And I hear sometimes that some of these areas are actually being renamed, meaning there could be something systematically or something systematic going on here. If not, why would I mean, if you and I haven't been to, I don't know, let me, pluck an African country. If we haven't been to maybe, I don't know, Mali, Niger, Ghana, we're just moving somewhere. We know where to go, set our tents, where we, set our tent and suddenly begin to occupy that area. How do we even defend it? Does it mean that the people of Plateau, the people of Bokkos, the people of Hoti, all that defenseless? Are they all old that they cannot in any way, shape, or form try to withstand these invaders? So while you attempt that question, then I can go back to John.
okay, like I said there are for a long time now we actually have Fulani people that we have given them place to stay, and some of them participated in this particular attack based on the victims who have interviewed, based on their stories. They saw them, so they of course possibly will be the people that are giving them or giving these people directions on what to do and how to do it. Now, on issue whether our people are defenseless or not, in Nigeria currently in Nigeria, you are not permitted to hold any weapon, any gun, so to say. Even though our laws, by our law, there are certain particular guns that you can hold. What we have observed through these years, we have passed through this crisis, that even if you have what you call the normal den gun, that one that our parents used to use for hunting, the den gun that you fire and then you spend about 30 minutes before you put it doesn't use cartridge, you use powder and something else like that. That particular gun is actually permitted by the Firearms Act. But even if you have that one, soldiers will arrest you. They will take it away from you. And we have, so I mean, this incident, we're not saying, they will take it away from you. So it's not that our people cannot defend themselves. But currently, as it stands, you don't have the right to have firearms. And these people came with not small firearms. Like the story they were telling us about Mongo, they stood and there was a confrontation with the army. These are people that can withstand or stood to the army. And on Sunday after the crisis, when the estate was coming from that hotel because he visited that place, which we commend him for it. They lay an ambush for him. The same people lay an ambush for him and fire at his convoy. So this is what we are talking about. And what really happened on that day, sir? They took our people by surprise. Because normally the anticipation is that attacks come in the night. So almost all the young people are not in the village. They went for looking for their daily bread. So it was when they hear the sound of the guns and the shooting, of course, they want to also come back home and see what is going on. Most of them were caught in that crossfire. So that's what actually happened. whether our people can defend themselves or not, like I've just laid down the background for you to see. That the truth is that even if we want to stand to defend ourselves with what the law does not permit us to have anything, and then we are taken by surprise. And then these are people that will also know, even when we say it, because when the DIG went there yesterday, somebody shouted from the crowd. But when they were talking about the attack, somebody shouted from the crowd. He said he knows the people that did that. And nobody interviewed him. Nobody took him serious. Nobody investigated what he's saying. So this is what we're faced with.
Okay. So, John, at this point, can you make your intervention, please?
Yes. Let me say this clearly. The Fulani are not Nigerian, right? Yes, our laws might give rise to citizenship by birth, but there is no Fulani that is an indigene to Nigeria. They do not belong to any local government. They do not belong to any state. So they are not Nigerian. When you establish that, then you would understand that over time, from the ones, especially in Plateau State, Plateau State is a peace-loving state. You will find every tribe, from Nigeria heavily represented here. We have been accommodating to all. In fact, you'd have a lot of foreigners also staying in Nigeria, right? They're in Plateau State. There are a lot of Europeans too, right? So when we say, or when you hear the governor say foreigners, it is true. Because of the laxity in border control, because of how weak our immigration system has been, these people have had a field day just walking into Nigeria and doing what they want, right? A lot of them will claim to be Nigerian, but cannot say where they were born, do not have a passport, cannot tell you the formal processes they went through to be accepted as Nigerian, right? So let's just have that clear. They are not Nigerian. Even if they were, or even if some of them became citizen by birth, right? The Shehu Shagari administration made a very important precedent when it sent away the people from Ghana. I don't know if you remember that.
Yes,
That was when the Ghana Must Go became popular, right? There were a lot of Ghanaians that had already become citizens of Nigeria by birth, but they were still sent packing. So some of us are now advocating, since Shehu Shagari, who was ironically even a Fulani man, had set that precedent. If the Fulani have repeatedly shown an unwillingness to live in peace, then it is about time, right? The federal government sent them packing.
Yeah, but
As
send
to
them to where?
defending ourselves.
Ghana. No, sorry. Ghana had.
That's the thing.
No.
In fact, I think Ghana did that. If I'm not mistaken.
Ghana has, let's be factual here. Ghana had an ancestral land. Ghana had a place that they came from. As a result of economic hardship, they migrated the same way Nigerians are migrating today. Now, when things became the way it became in, I think, 83 or 84, and we had that issue of Ghana must go, okay, the economy is beginning to revive, and due to the policy of overpopulation, then you guys need to go back to your country now. So, but it's not the same, because now.
So are you saying Nigeria was more populated then than it is now?
No.
In fact, based on your argument, even if it's a population issue, in fact, your argument on population is a reason to send them packing.
No.
They are not indigenes. Hear me out, sir. They are not indigenes of Nigeria. They have no claims to any state or any local government. They are not they are from Mali or wherever, right? So
let's
it's
look
for
at,
them to go back to where they are from, right? They are not
let's look
Nigerian.
at John here. Let's look at the north
Yes.
center and let's look at the northeast. If you take these two regions, who are the ruling class in this region politically?
Look,
so
have you read the history
hold
of the
on.
jihad?
We are not, hold on. We are not making argument for argument's sake. You make arguments, we look at things that are practical, things that are doable. I mean, it's nice that you're putting it out there. When someone is hurting, you know, I personally allow the individual to hurt because you guys are hurting. Because the amount of individuals that have been lost within the region it's mind blowing. The other day, you know, a couple of years back under President Buhari, Nigerians woke up on a New Year day. Suddenly, we lost 250 people in one day. Yet, we are not aware those that have been caught, those that were prosecuted, and those that were sent to jail. The argument hereby for me is that we must situate crime irrespective of who commits that crime. That individual should be punished. Now, because when you want to now go down the route of saying that the ancestry of certain citizens of your country does not tally with what you believe in, therefore you have to export them or do away with them, take them where? But I think if we all agree as citizens and say we do not care, no one has the right to invade your farmland, no one has the right to take the life of another, irrespective of who that individual is, maximum punishment should be meted on that individual. Because again, you know, when we begin to look at these things this way, and that is the failure of government. Because if you look, and I'll take an excerpt, I'll allow you speak, then I'll take an excerpt from Guardian newspaper of I think either Punch of yesterday, the editorial. Speak while I look for that and I take an excerpt. Thank you.
In international law, I don't know if you've studied international law. There's this principle of persona non grata, right?
Of course.
When a particular person who is not from that country becomes difficult, you declare him persona non grata and you have him leave the country, right? The fact that they cannot trace where they are from is entirely their business. But we know where their roots are from. That is why I emphasized that there is no Fulani indigene to Nigeria, right? That's the basic. In fact, it's one of the reasons that they have refused to let the 1963 constitution continue to be in force, because they know that if ethnic nationalities are now made the federating units, they will automatically lose all the power they've managed to gain over Nigerians. So let's not, you know, it's one thing to, when we started, you said the aim is to say the truth as it is and to find actual solutions, right? And I'm telling you, one of the solutions is, or quick rundown of the solutions is: one, ban open grazing, right? Two, send all the Fulani back to where they are from or out of Nigeria, right? Three, then have the immigration process strictly put in place. So if you're now a Fulani and you want to come back into Nigeria, follow the normal process. Don't cross the borders and then be a problem. And when you're here, we're now told, no, everybody has freedom of movement. Yes, you have freedom of movement, but you can't force yourself onto my land. You can't force yourself into my community, right? I also have freedom of association. So you're saying they can be where they are, but I don't have the right to have people stay away, or I don't have the right to close my community off. It is absurd, really. So this is the reason that this problem has continued. If they had known that by doing this, Nigerians would be fed up and they will be thrown out, How many people have been deported from Europe in the past 5 years? Right? You hear 200 and whatever Nigerians deported.
Again,
So hear me out, right?
People are not.
This tribe,
sorry.
Hear me out, sir. Hear me out. This tribe has become a problem to over 20 states in Nigeria. What else needs to be said? Right? Do we continue to die? Do we continue to? And that is it. You might say live in peace, but you can see that very obviously the person you're dealing with has absolutely no intention to live in peace. What do you then do? Can you sleep with a cobra? You can't go to bed with a cobra. You know what the cobra intends to do.
There is
right?
something.
So there can only be peace when everyone shows a desire to come to the table, looking for peace. But in countless scenarios, we have negotiations with these people, and immediately after the negotiations, they attack our communities. The Fulani do not intend to live in peace. And unless drastic measures are taken, believe me, all these 20 or more states that we've spoken about, one day they will rise. They will have enough. And then we will have a civil war on our hands. If we do not want to get to that extreme point, something decisive needs to be done.
Thank you very much. Keyword here, unless drastic measures. Hold on, unless drastic measures are taken. Farmasum, can you say something before I come to Fasa here?
Yes, please. The position we have.
Yeah.
And what you are talking about when you are talking about justice. You know that as we speak now, the Fulani, whether you call them headers or you call them terrorists, I don't know whether they even have a difference now. Because you don't know which one is which. You don't know which one is which. Now, it is important for us, like John is stressing, it is important for us to begin to know whether these people that we have are actually headers or not. If they are not headers, if they don't have cows, what are they doing in our community? If they are headers, where are they coming from? These are important questions that needed to be answered. Even if you spend 500 years in a particular place, we should know where you're coming from. The idea that we should live together cannot continue. It will not continue until there is a respect for each other. Until every one of us come to the table and agree. Because if you come to my place and you want to live with me, and I say I don't want to live with you, is it by force? There is right. I have a right over my property. As we speak now, sir, our farms are not safe. They can do whatever they want to do on our farms and nobody say anything. You will wake up in the night. As of last year, the farms that were mowed down, I mean, grown-up mess. And come to think of it, they know that our people's economy is farming. That is where our money comes from. They know that if they touch farming, that is where they will touch us. In fact, they are removing money from our pockets. So they will take it until farm, especially maize, has reached a producing stage. Then they will come in the night and cut everything. And we know them. Sometimes they will even enter with cattle. You report them to the security, they will come back to the community. This is what we are facing. This particular attack that happened, this attack that just finished happening, sir, this is April. This is the time when our people will start farming. The attack was strategic. It was planned so that it would distort
economic warfare.
So that they will deal with us economically. So when you hear John stressing this issue, we are stressing it because of the things we have passed through. People will say, people will be talking about having peace sitting down and meeting with people or meeting with them, having peace conference, having peace. Immediately you finish the peace settlement, the following day they will attack. The same people that will come and tell you they have been giving this narration of unknown gunmen. I hope you heard that, sir. That the gunmen are not known. If the gunmen are not known, who are we having peace meeting with? Who? If those people that we're having peace meeting with, they agree to come to have peace meeting with us, it means they know the gunmen. It means they know who has been killing us. So why is the security not propping them to bring out those people that have this armory of weapons?
Exactly the point. Now you have landed exactly where the question is. During the time of Buhari, there was this crisis known as the Fulani herdsmen crisis. It's been 2 years now that Buhari is no longer in the saddle. The question is, why do you still think we had a Fulani president? Everybody thought for 8 years that the reason why the madness went haywire was as a result of the fact that people believed that he was harboring and protecting his people. Today, we have a man from the southwest who is nowhere near any gene or connection to the Fulani. Why is this still continuing? Why does it appear that the government is incapable to stop the killing in your places? Gentlemen, please, this is an important question. What is it? Why do you think this is happening? John, over to you.
I said earlier on that what we have right now is not a constitution of the people, right? If we were to go back to the 1963 constitution, it will solve a lot. Or if we were to come together and truly have a people's democratic constitution, right, it would fix a lot of these problems. Because there are so many issues that would have been solved by having a workable constitution. First off, the presidency has too much powers, right? Secondly, the security apparatus is not controlled by these states, right? Thirdly, the power to determine, like self-determination, does not even lie with the states. So these issues alone make it difficult to solve the problem. If we're to be truly democratic, like you have in the US, right? The states run as an independent government, have their own security, determine their own revenue generation, determine the use and exploitation of their own minerals. A lot of these things won't happen. But the fact that something can be happening in Plateau State and the governor has to call Abuja before security personnel are deployed. It's the average time, in the West for response is, I think, like 10 to 15 minutes to criminal activity. In Plateau State, it's in hours. So what do you think would happen, right? First off, they have little to no control over who comes into their territory, right? Then they have little to no control over how well their citizens are armed. In fact, it was interesting when the head of DSS came out recently and was advocating that every.
Okay, Fasa here. Fasa, you heard when John made proposition that the Fulani should be, I don't know, should be let go from Nigeria. I mean, sitting down listening to that, while I countered that with my own you know, because I'm here to play the devil's advocate, saying that I do not think that that is the right thing to do. But listening to that
And we
narrative,
have these people, right? So it's
I think you are frozen for a while
every
there.
level of.
Either you,
Can you
I
hear
think,
me now?
yes, I think you're frozen for a while. I don't know
Hello.
whether you received a call or so.
Okay. No, not a call.
Okay,
I'm on do not
could you
disturb
quickly,
right now.
okay,
Anyway,
could you
the
quickly
conclusion
round up?
is yes. The conclusion is that we need a constitution that is of the people, right?
Okay,
We need ethnic indigenous nationalities to be federating units. We
okay,
need more power, right? And then we need stricter immigration control.
excellent.
The more control we have over people who move in and out of these states, the better. And if we have more control, we'll be able to determine, who comes into our area and if they can stay or not. But the truth is, we now have immigrants that have taken over our ancestral land, and the government is doing nothing to reclaim these lands. So I wouldn't say the government is doing nothing at state level because the government has no power to do anything, right? So the government at the federal has a lot to do if they
Okay,
are serious about, making a difference.
okay, thank you very much. So, Fasai here, if I come back to you, to the question I asked you, one of his proposition is that to, send the Fulanese packing, whereas I think um, we have to deal with criminals. I don't know if you watched the video from Senator Shehu Sani, who a Fulani also, but he said that, and they're very forceful too, that every single individual, especially the Fulanis that are engaged in these activities, should desist and should be punished if caught. So now that's another school of thought. But from what Barrister John Apollos Manto is saying, that these guys should be sent back. Do you agree with that notion that they should be done? Fulani must go. You do not have audio. Try again. No, sorry, you may have to go and come back again because you may have to go and come back. Sorry. Can you log out and come in again? Yeah, thank you. So, gentlemen, now before we round up, let me quickly bring something to your notice here. Now, I think there is something I've read elsewhere where a lot of individuals are really knocking the governor of your state, saying that he has failed the people. For your safety and for the as knowing that you guys are from Plateau, I wouldn't be making that assertion to ask you guys a question if you think your governors have failed. But the question that I want to ask is, what form of justice? Okay, let me rephrase it this here. This way. If you people think there is these signs of land grabbing masked as ethnic or religious conflict, who benefits? Obviously there is displacement, and who benefits from this displacement, and why does it appear that the people do not have enough mechanism for self-defense? Bearing in mind, I think you made an allusion to it, the statement made by the head of DSS that communities should, do whatever it takes to defend themselves. So the question to you is, the people of Bokkos, the people of Mango, do they have vigilantes that defend them if need be? Farmasum, if you may take that.
Well, when you talk about vigilante, I don't know what you're talking about. You're talking about people that come out in the night with sticks. Because as it stands, whatever the DSS want to say, the law is that we cannot have weapons. We cannot. We don't have weapons to protect ourselves. This, if they are admitting that the security apparatus or the security architecture of this country has failed, which I believe from his statement, because I follow his statement, I believe from his statement, he has clearly said that the military and the DSS and the police cannot protect us the way we want. That there has to be a first line of defense, which must come from the people. We cannot defend AK-47 with sticks. If they know that that is the position, the current reality on ground, what stops them now, since they are in position of power, what stops them now from pushing for an amendment of those to make it possible for every one of us to have at least a AK-47? If
But
these villagers, sir,
but
if these
those who
villagers,
no, but those who have these AK-47,
yes,
those who terrorize your communities with AK-47, did
yes,
not get these AK-47 from the government. There is a
like,
video I'll play. Hold on, there is a video I'll play now. That is the video from retired General T.Y. Danjuma, where
yes.
he beckoned on the people of the Middle Belt and said to them, do not ask me to give you AK-47. Do not ask me to give you gun. You should go out and acquire them the way your attackers acquire them. Put that in
You know,
context.
I think, sorry, you've asked some
like
important questions that I think needs to be addressed.
Sorry, let
Right?
him finish, please. Let him finish.
Oh, okay.
let me finish. I agree with you that they have said all these things, sir. An AK-47 now, I don't know how much it is, but I know a common farmer.
But human life is more.
I'm coming, sir. I'm coming to that. Human life is more than money. If we have a way, or if the government or the authority permits, and the authority makes a way for that, we'll do that. But for us now to say that we're going out to buy AK from who? AK, I mean, all the guns you are talking about is illegal. Even for you to, is it in the market? Do we go to the market and say we want to buy gun? Do we have licensed vendors of gun? We don't. And the law provides for that. The law provides for licensed vendors, but we don't have them in this country. For you to say we should go, I mean, for anybody to suggest, whether it is T.Y. Danjuma or the DSS, to suggest that we should have guns. What I'm saying is this: if they have come to terms with that, then they should legalize it. If they really think that our lives is important, then they should legalize it. If they feel that we as a people, we need to be the first line of defense, then they should legalize it. But as it stands now, if you have, like I said earlier on, even if you have a dead gun, the security will take you up. But in contrast to the other, to the Fulani, in contrast to them, they will have, and they know they have, they will not do anything. Sir, what we are saying is that let there be a pressure on the government.
So from what you're saying, there appears to be that these criminals,
yes,
are more powerful than the state actors. They are more powerful than the state government. They are more powerful than the federal government. That is the vibe I'm getting from your submission.
Yes, sir. The state government, does not even have a police force. The state government, even the state governor himself, the security he has, he cannot command them. The ones that protect.
Yeah, but
today,
when I asked you about vigilantes, you waved it off. You waved it off. But bear in mind that the Southwest, at some point, had a quasi paramilitary outfit codenamed Amotekun.
I agree.
So what is stopping the Middle Belt and what is stopping the people of Plateau?
Can I come in now?
John, if you don't, if Farmasum is down, then John, you can come in. Let's see, because it appears. Sorry, I asked Fasa a question, but his network appears to be, again, he's gone. His network appears to be giving him some stress. So, Barrister John, can you just make a 1 minute submission? Then I come to the next question, please. John, go ahead.
My brother Farmasum just made an important point. The state government does not even have a police force, right? How then do you expect it to perform? I might not agree with every policy this governor does, but I can say that when it comes to infrastructure, when it comes to speaking out for the people, he has been one of the best, right? But then we cannot deny the fact that his hands are tied. My brother Farmasum also made a point that I had been emphasizing earlier on. If the federal government has admitted they have failed and really want us to protect ourselves, what they should be doing is amending laws to ensure that we can legally acquire weapons to defend ourselves. You can't continue to tell us defend yourselves, while on the other hand, you take the small hoes and cutlasses and ding guns that we have. The body language of the agencies of the government is not consistent with what the government is claiming to want to do. So when they really want us to defend ourselves, they should issue gun licenses, they should amend the laws, they should make sure that these immigrants that are crossing our borders are not allowed in with contraband arms. And like my brother said earlier, you don't expect us to defend ourselves when even the military and the armed forces, when they come against these people, they can barely make it out alive. So how do you expect the ordinary farmer to compete, right? So a lot needs to be done. If we want to tell ourselves the truth, it would start with policy change. It would start with lawmaking that recognizes the rights of indigenous nationalities to be self-sufficient and to defend themselves.
Okay, so let me first hold on here. First, thank God you're back. Let me quickly, because I need your opinion on this. As opposed to I've asked you this question before your network yanked you off, but let me rephrase again. Barrister John says, the Fulani should be pursued out of Nigeria, like Shagari did with Ghanaians. Now, quickly, I want to have your take on this.
Okay, I would have to be very, very honest. I think chasing or pursuing the Fulani out of Nigeria is not the solution. And as a matter of fact, that will, further exacerbate the problem. And as far as their origin, we have Fulanis, that would tell you they are Fulani from Katagum in Bauchi. There are Fulani in Gombe. There are Fulanis in Adamawa. So as far as their origin is concerned, I think not just I think they have an origin. That is one. Second of all, is there was a day we went for a peace meeting, and the Senki House of Enugu said something. He said to that community, I think it was in Ohamuku, he told them that, resorting to fighting this guy or, taking the war to the Arugas and all that would end, it will end up being tragic because you are literally trying to fight an individual that has no permanent address. An individual that has no permanent address. That is to say, today, they can choose to be in Ehamufu, and tomorrow they can leave Ehamufu and go to Senegal. They don't have a permanent address. So now, chasing them out would even, further complicate, the problem. Because just like I said, as far as their origin. We have Fulani in Adamawa, we have them in Bauchi, we have them in most of this, some of our the northeastern states specifically. We have Fulanis. As a matter of fact, I think, not even think, Atiku is Fulani, Buhari is Fulani. And I think if there was a problem with their origin, then, we wouldn't even have these people, contesting for, presidency
or
or
having governed, or even governing Nigeria.
even
Shagari
government.
was, Umaru Musa Yar'Adua was. Anyway, now before your
Can I
network,
come in
hold on,
quickly?
sorry, John.
Yeah.
Before your network
Mm.
does what it loves to do, let me quickly take that from you. I did say before that the government appears incapable to deal with this crime, because I think, again, people, we need to situate crime. There are criminals everywhere at various scales. Some are Igbos, some are Yoruba, some are Burum, some are Bokkos, some are Mangus. So it doesn't matter. But to perpetrate a crime as grievous as marching into a community, taking down hundreds of people in one day, and everybody's appears to just say, "Oh, our hands are tied." Please, who is tying those hands? We want it untied. So, to you now, looking at this, why do you think that the government can't start, knowing that we do not have a Fulani president anymore? Isn't it because the president is from the southwest? And not only in there is also in Oyo, where these incidents are also happening in the bushes, that people can no longer go to farm. Even with Amotekun, please, what
Yeah.
do you think is tying the hands of government in this in this case?
All right, sir. You see, the issue of banditry, cattle rustling, and any other thing that has to do with the Fulani extraction has been politicized. That is the major problem, because now some individuals are using these guys as, like a proxy to, hide under the guise of, headsmen, or going into or destroying farmlands to achieve their aims of some certain things that they want to do. That's the honest truth.
Like what?
Now, when 16 people were unalive in Urumi, I said something. I said, at the time where we are clamoring for national unity, what happened in Urumi to those northerners is going to slow down our yearnings of national unity. And now some politicians are actually happy because some politicians in this country, they love to use the divide and conquer, or rather divide and rule. They know if there is problem, they would have a lot. They would have a whole lot to gain. And one thing with a politician is, if as far as, or rather as long as it has nothing to do with him personally, he doesn't care. Only a few, I wouldn't stereotype or generalize, only a few politicians are out there trying to, make the difference, and they're doing they are kind of honest about it. But now the situation of this banditry, it has been seriously politicized, and that is why you can see it's not stopping, it's not ending. And now, in some of these states that are being mentioned, you get to find that where the headsmen are terrorizing are places that have mineral resources, and some of these politicians are taking all these mineral resources for their own personal gains. So, how are they going to displace the community for them to do these things? We have heard of individuals coming with helicopters at night, or rather, there is in one of the states, is in an airplane runway was seen in the middle of a bush. That is to say, these things are being done, systematically to make sure that they gain something up top. So the major problem is one, sentiments, and secondly, it is politicized. When I say sentiments, I have to be honest with you. In Nigeria now, we have to, move out of that. He's a Christian or he's a Muslim or he's this or that, context, and then let's call a spade a spade. And that is what I've been trying my best to do at all times. So when something happens to a Muslim anywhere, or I feel there is injustice attached to it, I'll go ahead and talk about it. When something happens to a Christian somewhere and I feel there's injustice, I'll go ahead and talk about it. But some Muslims, or rather some Northerners, do not care what happens to anybody that is not from their extraction. Some Southerners do not care when something happens to anybody, anything that happens to anybody that's not from their extraction. And that is the honest truth. Sentiments and politics. That is the problem.
Okay, thank you. So I think you may have to Fatah here, you may have to log out. Make sure you close all the browsers, because I think you have two browsers on. That's why we have that noisy crackling sound. Please, you can try to fix that and you come back again. Now, gentlemen in here, let me play this video and I would want your reaction. This is your leader, General T.Y. Danjuma. It's someone, many of you from this side and from this part of the world consider your leader. And he had this message for you.
Some few years ago, I warned that the armed forces are either not capable or unwilling to protect us, and that we must defend ourselves. The first denial of what I said came from the Ministry of Defense. They said I was lying. And they set up a kangaroo board of inquiry to investigate the truth or otherwise of what I spoke. And they invited me to come and testify. I did not go. I did not go. They wrote that report which said that I was only speculating, that there was no evidence. And now there is evidence. The whole country now is being run and overrun. And one very clear thing that is happening is that these foreign invaders, they are not even Muslims. A lot of the casualties inflicted on the land are on Muslims. They are destroying even mosques, but they were allowed to come into the country by our government. Now, as a soldier, my training teaches me that the best defense is attack.
Okay. We can't. We can't hear. Seems like
Oh, sorry. Okay.
We're not
Sorry. Yeah.
hearing you.
No. Okay. Sorry about that. Now let me quickly make this point. That was General T.Y. Danjuma speaking. He spoke from a point of knowledge and intelligence that he may have. He said that these individuals that commit these heinous crimes, they know no Christians, they know no Muslims, they even destroy mosques, according to T.Y. Danjuma. Now, he then, further in the video, asked, many of you are asking me to give you guns to protect yourself. Then he asked rhetorically, how did those who come to invade you acquire their guns? In rounding up, we must round up with solutions. Now, if we listen to T.Y. Danjuma and he said, reaffirming his first 2023 speech, that these security forces are colluding with these individuals, then it begs the question, the Nigerian security forces is peopled with Southerners, Northerners, Middle Belters, Christians, Muslims. So how come this mixture of pot will be overrun by certain individuals? I don't know. Sometimes when you think about it logically, it doesn't make sense. Then you ask yourself, well, if you think about it, that the new chief of army staff is not the usual, it doesn't come from the usual place he used to come, so it's something different. The security mix now is not too much what it used to be. There is a mixture. Then still, these things keep on happening. It really bothers that one will begin to say, is there something that is happening beyond even maybe what you and I may be accusing? Is there something of maybe a much more international dimension? Because someone, I can't remember again, but someone mentioned here that in some areas where you have certain natural mineral resources, that these things are flashpoints. Could there be something greater than just a mere saying, oh, Fulanis are coming? Is there something in Bokkos beneath the soil that you guys don't even know, even when that is your community? Is there something in these areas that none of you are aware of that exacerbates these crimes to happen? I'm only questioning and prompting us to think deeper than maybe what we are currently doing. Because if we piece the puzzles together, it's not making sense. One would have come, I personally would have thought that since President Muhammadu Buhari was no longer in the saddle, with a southern president here, with the amendments he did within the, the people heading the security apparatchik. Recall that Buhari once told us, I sent my my IGP to Benue. I didn't know he went to Nasarawa, and everybody laughed about it. There was no punishment afterwards. But now, the IGP is not a northerner. The IGP is, do you understand? So if you ask me, we ought to be seeing something different, but it's not happening. Gentlemen, isn't that a clear case of the federal government of Nigeria failing the people that they have sworn on oath to protect their lives and their properties? Farmasum, your concluding thoughts.
Yeah, I want to bring out this clearly. Sometimes when we talk about this, we actually used to forget that Sokoto, Katsina, and Zamfara, and Kaduna, part of Kaduna, bringing Gwari or bringing something. They're also facing the same thing with Fulani. KB, Niger, they're also facing the same thing. I mean, they are attacking indigenous people and killing them and wiping them out. The attack is so much that the governor of Zamfara was crying the other day on national TV that they will arrest people and people will be taken to Abuja and they will be released. And he's talking about Fulani because he mentioned it. So this is not just something peculiar, even though, you know, they said it is, when your brother died, that you know there is a death. I mean, death.
Yep.
What pains us is our own. But if you look at the larger picture, we're not just looking at that it is just happening on the plateau. Even where the majority, about 99% or 98% or 80-something% are Muslims, these Fulani people are still picking on the Hausa tribe and killing them as if they are not human beings. You know, people like talking and making sensation over so many things. Like what happened in Iromi. I know it is condemnable. Of course, I cannot support that kind of jungle justice. Whatever it is that they think they have, I cannot support it. Those people were 13 people that were killed, which was bad, you know. But do you know that in these northern states, people are being wiped out daily? In fact, there are places where the bandits are the ones collecting tax. So if it is happening there, then you must be able to look at it in a larger picture. And then come down to Plateau, go to Benue. Sir, whether there is something on the ground or it is on top of ground, that is not my problem. My problem is they should leave my people alone. They should go where they came from. They should stop killing people. If the federal government does not honor, then we must tell them the truth. Because it is only the federal government that has a military, they have the police, they have the civil defense, they have the road safety. That is, if road safety will be part of the paramilitary. They have all the military force, the air force, whatever it is you want to talk about, it is the federal government. So if there are daily killings like that and it is not stopped, or it has not been stopped, then they should look at themselves in the face. Is that the social contract we signed with them? Is that what they have come to do? Are they trying to say that these Fulani people that are wiping out people from Sokoto, Katsina, down to Plateau, Benue, down to the east and the south, are they trying to tell me that these people now are the government, the new government we should start hearing? Or are they failing? Even though the last time the NSA came and he said there is improvement. Maybe he has his own statistics. But for me, on the plateau, there's no improvement. 2023, I passed through horror December. January, I was passing through troubles. Till April, till September, October, it went down. It has resumed again. Will I say there's an improvement? If we want to talk about improvement or that the federal government is doing anything, they should show us statistics that they have stopped the killings. Because even if they kill one person, sir, even if they kill one person, it is bad.
Yes.
Federal government must do enough. If they cannot, like we say, if they cannot, which they have shown us that they don't have the capacity. If they cannot, because you have not been in Bokkos, and none of you have been in Bokkos except me and my brother John. Except the two of us that have been in Bokkos. Bokkos is a large local government. It's huge. For you to travel from Bokkos town to where this thing has happened, it will take you hours. 2 to 3, 4 hours. You are still going. It's a landmass. It's flat. It's fertile. It's a very good land. It is land where farmers are proud of. If you go to Bokkos, if you go during farming season or during harvest season, you understand the kind of riches that come out of that place. So the expand of the land makes it difficult. It will make it difficult for the military to say they want to cover every place. That's even only Bokkos.
Well, but they can use, I mean, they can use drone. They can, I mean, there are technologies to, honestly, you know, somebody can even sit in Abuja and in Jos and fly these drones. I mean, you see, the issue is that I think sometimes, sorry for interjecting. I think sometimes we make too much excuses for the government, and that's why they keep failing, right? So I don't think there is any excuse for government not to secure Bokkos. There is no excuse.
No,
And there is no
I'm
excuse for
not,
government not to even secure our borders.
No, what I'm saying is, I'm not giving them an excuse. What I'm saying is this: the current architecture we have now, the way they are operating, sir. I'm a lawyer. I practice. I interact with security forces, especially the police. I know the deficiency they have as it operates now. When you interact with, when you see the gadget, whatever it is that they have, except the federal government, when you are talking about technology, that's where we're going. Because if you have these landmarks, then there has to be a change of the way the security architecture is being run. There has to be a shift from what used to be to more modern way of operating.
Okay.
The landmass that we're talking about, it has to be covered.
Okay.
There has to be security.
Farmasum, in 1 minute, please, can you give us your solution? While Barrister John was talking, he has already mentioned the government to ban open grazing. I mean, honestly, that in 2025, to think that we are still talking about banning open grazing is a travesty. However, I mean that's what it is. Then there was also a suggestion to implement stricter immigration control. So, what else do you think governments could do in 1 minute, please?
Well, state police.
Okay.
Let them give all the states to have power to operate police, especially policing that it can wield guns and they will be under the direct authority of the government. And that state police, of course, there's a way they will do it in such a way that the local governments, apart from the state police, the local government should be able to have something they can also operate, so that every nook and cranny, the people that will be policing their environment should be people from that environment, and they should be equipped. Once you have that, if I'm in my environment, I know what to do. Nobody will come from anywhere that I will not scrutinize and ask where he's coming from.
Okay.
And I will know who enters and who goes out. I will know the criminals. I will know who to hold responsible and who not to. And when something happens like that, we know who to hold responsible. Because right now, as we're talking, you cannot ask the state government provide security for us. They will say they don't have the security forces in their hands.
Okay. So, Faisal, what do you think is, in your view, the solution to this madness?
Well, the solution is actually not far-fetched, because banning open grazing is the perfect one, because we can see civilized countries like Brazil, Australia. I mean, Brazil is the largest beef producer in the world. They have a lot of cattle, but then you can see how sane this cattle are, and also the individuals that are rearing them. I mean, if you go ahead and create what are they calling it? I'm lost of this word.
Ranches.
Thank you so much. Ranching. It's even better for the herders, and it's also better for the farmers. It is easy once you ranch. If you ranch, you now understand that any other headsman that you're going to see out of a ranch, you know that this is a criminal. You know that this is somebody that is trying to go through borders. So first and foremost, if we go into ranching, automatically it's going to douse down the tension between farmers and herders. And this is it. A farmer has a land that he has, he cultivates and he farms. I think the herder should also be in a specific place, because somebody said it's the cows that go to the farm. It's not the farm that goes to the cows. So if you ranch and you make this thing, open, you ranch sincerely, then it's going to solve, I think, 60 to 70% of what we are facing right now. But it's quite unfortunate that when ranching was even suggested during the Buhari administration, they kicked against it. And I was wondering, and just like Barrister said, Fulani on Fulani crimes, even in northern Nigeria, some 3-4 days ago, some individuals in one small town of Katsiel in Katsina, 2 brothers, same mother, same father, were shot. And these boys are Fulanis. They were shot by their fellow Fulanis. They were shot by their fellow Fulanis. And
why?
this, yes, just like that, they were moving from one town, a 3-kilometer, they were moving in a Gulf. The other one went to teach his younger brother how to drive a car, and they were on their way coming back, and just like that, without any provocation, nothing, they were just shot, and the car was terribly destroyed. Maybe after this, I would share the pictures for you. So now, these are people. There was an old woman that witnessed that thing happening, and she said it's the Fulanis from this other town. She said she saw them and she was even telling them that, no, these 2 boys are the sons of this person, whom is a Fulani and is your brother. Just like that, those boys lost their lives for nothing. Fulani on Fulani crime. Now, I have another friend in Sokoto that owns, he's a Fulani man that owns, he farms rice. And then he spent over, 3.2 million in, the farm. And then his fellow Fulani brother came with his cows and destroyed the rice. So now, when the Fulani man was apprehended, they went to the police station. He started begging his brother, they are brothers, this, and that. And then my friend said, if we are brothers, you wouldn't have let your cattle go into my rice farm and, destroy it. So at the end of the day, that Fulani man was just able to pay 800,000 for damages. And this is a rice farm that cost 3.8 million to the owner of the farm. So automatically, when there is ranching, now we are now going to understand we can easily differentiate the bad Fulanis from the good ones. That's the honest truth, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. And Barrister John, your concluding thoughts and your solution once more.
Yes, I'll start by agreeing with him. Ranching is good. But then whose land will be given for the ranching? Certainly not our ancestral land. That is why we said everybody must then go back to where they are from. Because it is when you go back to where you're from that you can start ranches. You don't expect us to give up our own land for farming to cows. For it doesn't make sense, right? You now just emphasize my point on the need to go back to their lands. Identifying a problem properly is the best way of. Yes.
Before you move on, when Ganduje was the governor of Kano State, he actually invited and said, "Come, I'll give you land. You can ranch."
That's very good. So all the Fulani in Nigeria should go to Ganduje.
I think there is the unwillingness to accept modernity. I think that's the if you ask me.
True.
But go ahead. Yeah.
Yes, because the problem is even our people who want to go into ranching cannot, because they know they'll be attacked by Fulani and have their cows stolen, right? So we have Bokkos people who were into cattle rearing too, but they stopped because of the problem with the Fulani. Identifying a problem, I was saying, identifying a problem properly is the best way of finding the solution. If you do not, You cannot get, it's like a doctor not misdiagnosing a sickness, right? The proper problem, what is actually going on, is that Nigeria has been under siege since before the independence, right? There has been this attack to take over Nigeria by the Fulani. That's the truth. If we now understand that that is it, in fact, the video you played last of TY emphasized my point. He said these are immigrants, and I agree, they are immigrants. So what should the federal government do? What is the response to the federal government, when being attacked by a foreign armed force? It's war. We are under war. And it seems that everybody in government is either too politically correct to state that fact or afraid for whatever reason. One of the reasons I believe is that, like during the Buhari administration, a lot of these terrorists were now incorporated into the armed forces, right? There were pictures, trending at that period where one of them was even given a senior officer position. So how do you expect the problem to go away when these people are now in the position where they can have access to security intel and mobilization opportunities? You see, it becomes a problem. Right. Like I said, they are immigrants. They should be treated as such. In fact, my brother Faisal was saying there are Fulani from Borno. They can only be referred to as citizens, if at that. But there is no indigenous Fulani. Quote me anywhere. Right? Fulani is not one of the indigenous tribes of Nigeria. So that is where we should start. Obviously, the government has failed, right? Which means that we should either go back to the 1963 Constitution or restructure this country in a way that states have more autonomy and states have more power. We have emphasized that banning should be, abolished. Open grazing should be banned. We have also emphasized that there is a need for stricter immigration control. There's a need for stricter border control. We cannot live in a country where people can just walk over the borders at whim with whatever weapons they want to carry. And I think one of the listeners made a very good comment, right? He said that there should be better monitoring and oversight of the immigration situation. And I agree. Things must change. Things have to change. If we want the law to apply, we should have strict rule of law. And rule of law can only happen when there is no impunity. And impunity can only be fought against when a crime is committed and the perpetrator is punished. If you look at the situation in Plateau State, from the very first attack of like 1960 something, where a church was burnt down, to date, there has not been one person who has been prosecuted for these atrocities.
Openly.
In most of the cases, there have been people who pointed out the perpetrators. They are merely questioned if at all done that, and then released back into the society, right? So we need a rule of law. We need the government to seriously fight impunity. We need to have our justice systems work and operate. And we need a situation whereby any immigrant who does not want to abide by the Constitution of Nigeria or the rules and regulations of these states should be returned back to where they are from, right? Restructuring Nigeria is important, because if we do not do that, if we do not give states more control, if we do not have more autonomy, if we do not have state policing systems that ensure indigenous policing is done at the grassroots, we will continue to have this problem. And I will emphasize that my biggest proposal as a solution is the declaration of the Fulani who have shown themselves to be terrorists as persona non grata and have them evicted from Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you very much. you know, we're all here to seek for solutions as to what has befallen us as a people. This has been the State of the this has been the State of the Nation series on Njenje Media TV here, London and Nigeria, a platform dedicated to unearthing the truth, amplifying the voices of the oppressed, and holding powers to account. In this edition, none faces, as we all have seen, that the victims say that they know these people, hidden agendas, exposing the Bokkos crisis by victims, those affected, those that have spoken to us today from Plateau State. We looked at these issues beyond the sanitized headlines to confront the raw, lived reality of the people of Bokkos, Plateau State. And those that had this conversation with me today was Barrister Farmasum Fuddang, who is the chairman, Bokkos Cultural Development Council, Vanguard. Also in the studio here, John Apollos Maton, who is a lawyer, dispute resolution expert, and an activist, who forcefully argues that the Fulanis should be exercised out of Nigeria. Though I disagree with him on that. My point to him is that the criminals should be dealt with the sledgehammer if need be. And also the last but not the least is Faisal Sanusi Ibrahim, a social justice crusader. Thank you, gentlemen, for being part of this conversation. I really appreciate the conversation. And thank you once more. Thank you for joining us. And, you know, it has been indeed a very interesting conversation. And the solutions span from banning open grazing, you know, implementing stricter immigration control, state police that has been forcefully canvassed by John and Farmasum here, you know, and the list that is the very unpopular one is to do away with our brothers and sisters. On this note, I say good night, everyone, and thank you for being my guest this evening. Good night, gentlemen.
Pleasure is mine. Good.
Ah, la, 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 la.